know I told y'all on the last video, but baby, let me tell y'all again about my bright cellar. Now listen now, they are a monthly wine club that matches wines to your taste buds, honey, your taste buds, and takes those wines from all over the world and delivers them to your doorstep. This is not a hit or miss type thing, honey, because again, you have to take a test telling them what your favorite tastes are, your favorite flavors, to pick the correct wine for you. Once again, let me tell y'all the wines I got this month. Bellfleet, Silver Skate, and Obscura. And I hear y'all now, oh, my local supermarket, they got enough wine. Baby, let me tell you something your local supermarket don't do. They put little wine education cards in the box, and they suggest pairings, give you details about what's in the wine, even tells you at what room temperature to store your wine. Bright Cellar's got it going on. You are not gonna find nothing like that at no doggone grocery store. You heard the word. Bright Cellar's got it going on. That is why I'm giving you guys 50% off of your first 6-bottle box of wine. Honey, $55 plus tax for 6 bottles of wine. All you gotta do is click my personal link in the description. Go ahead once again, stop wasting time, click the link. Now it's time to get to the meat of the video, honey. The scalding hot tea on Mrs. Stevie Nicks. If y'all don't hear nothing new in this video, please don't be sitting up there talking about something, I heard all this already. And if this tea has already been out there, then oh well. Now, let's get to it. Stephanie Stevie Nicks was born on May 26, 1948 in Phoenix, Arizona. Her father's name was Jess, and he was the president of Greyhound, and her brother's name was Barbara, and I do believe, but I'm not sure, that Barbara was a stay-at-home mom. Now, from the looks of it, Stevie had a great relationship with both of her parents, and it looks like her father, Jess, helped to bring her musical side out very early. Her mother, on the other hand, was said to be overprotective, but she did bring out the fantastical or the fantasy side of Stevie. She would always tell her daughter fairy tales and myths, and she basically helped construct that mythical side of Stevie Nicks. And this musical as well as this mystical side would stick with Stevie from childhood all the way up until adulthood. Actually, it's still sticking with her right now. Now, as Stevie grew, since she had such an affinity for music and loved it so much, it is said that she spent all of her free time listening to records. And to her family's surprise, a family that loved country, Stevie would always listen to R&B music. She listened to the Shirelles, she listened to the Supremes, she listened to Martha and the Vandellas, the Four Tops, people like that. And when she did this, again, her family would look at her like she had two heads because they didn't understand where this came from, but they still loved their baby girl very much. So much so that as her musical talents grew, her parents supported her in every way. They even went and bought her a guitar at the age of 16, and as soon as Stevie got her guitar, honey, she started writing music. She soon found others with kindred spirits just like hers, and in high school she ended up joining a band. This band was called Changing Time. But baby, it was in her senior year of high school that something would happen that would change Stevie's life forever. And this something or this somebody was named Lindsey Buckingham. Now apparently this Lindsey was a musical kid just like Stevie, and on this particular day he ended up going to some sort of religious party or gathering with a whole bunch of other teens. And while he's there, he's hanging around looking all cool, you know. And then he spots a piano child. He go over there and try to show off his little talents, baby. Sit on the piano. Well, just so happens Stevie Nicks is at this very same party. So she starts to hear this music and this singing, and she walks over there to it, and she sees the most handsome, dreamiest guy that she's ever laid eyes on. You know, and this guy's got this shaggy curly hair, got these big blue eyes that look like swimming pools. He's just sitting there playing. Stopped into the church, I passed along on the way. Well, I got down on. And so this beautiful guy with this beautiful voice is just sitting down on this piano, playing this music, and Stevie is pretty much instantly smitten. So she prances her little tail over there and sits beside him and starts singing with him. And per the rumor, not only is she singing, she's harmonizing with him. And this really piques his interest in her. So they end up having a very fun night, talking, flirting, and chatting. And even though they seem super mesmerized with each other, when the party is over, they don't see each other for like the next 2 to 3 years. And in those 2 to 3 years, Lindsey had ended up joining a band called Fritz, and this band wanted a female lead singer. So when Lindsey heard this, he's like, I remember this beautiful girl that sang with me at this religious party. Let's call her. So they do call Stevie. She Stevie immediately remembers the gorgeous Lindsay, and she immediately goes to join the group Fritz. And Stevie, Lindsay, and Fritz, the band, baby, they done pretty doggone well, honey. They were opening for like Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin and possibly other big names. And just to stick this little bit of gossip and tea in here, a lot of people know that Stevie Nicks used to perform and dance around when she got with Fleetwood Mac, but it's also said that when she was with Fritz, she used to kind of perform because rumor says that they used to sing some song about drug addiction or heroin or something like that, and Stevie used to like act it out, like shoot up the heroin, and then she used to like go through addiction and all this kind of stuff. So she had always been like an entertainer. But even Stevie doing the junkie itch and all this kind of stuff could not save Fritz. The band disbanded, and this was said to have happened in 1971. Now, although while Stevie and Lindsay were actively with Fritz, they were dating other people. After Fritz disbanded, they spent a lot of time together. You know, they started grooving together, and eventually they ended up becoming a couple and fell very deeply in love. And not only that, it's also said that they both ended up enrolling in college just in case the rock and roll thing didn't work out. But then Lindsay took on this attitude of, I love music. I love music. That is what I want to do. So there is no backup plan. Like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get paid doing something that I love. So he was ready to drop out of college and just kind of pursue his musical career. And he asked Stevie to come with him. And Stevie was a little iffy, but not for long. Soon she decided that she wanted to join her man, baby. You know, and she wanted fame and things like that as well. So it's claimed she called her father. She asked her father for permission. Is it okay for her to drop out of college and try to do this musician thing with Lindsay full time? Her father gave her the go ahead, and so that is what she did. And soon Lindsay and Stevie started to perform and write music together. So at this point in the story, Stevie and Lindsay have become musical partners as well as lovers, and things are magical between them when it comes down to the music. And child, per the word on the streets, only the music. Because baby, when it come down to the other side of things, honey, it's claimed that Stevie was out here working her behind off, child. Said that Stevie was a waitress busting her tail and was the only one working to provide for her and Lindsay. And guess what Lindsay was doing, honey? Said Lindsay was sitting at home smoking drugs all day, hanging with his homeboys, having a good time. Now, it is claimed that what he was supposed to be doing was writing music, and he was writing music. I'm not going to take that away from him. But they said just as much as his behind was writing music, his behind was out there having a good time as well. And child, some of the real messy rumors say that he also was entertaining other women. All this while Stevie is at work busting her behind. And the word on the street say Stevie wasn't blind and she wasn't dumb. She knew, you know what I'm saying? But she loved Lindsay, and she also believed in this dream, so you know, she just kept right on at it. Now this went on for some time before Lindsay and Stevie had enough music put together where they can record their own record. But when they did, they called themselves Buckingham Nicks, and they went to be signed to Polydor Records. So they went in the studio and recorded their little music, and they ended up taking photos for the album cover. But on this album cover, it had Stevie and Lindsay nude from the waist up. And honey, the gossip on the street say that Stevie was upset, honey. Said she was in the studio like, you know, I'm just not comfortable with this, you know what I mean? This is not becoming of me. Why do I have to have my top off? And just really causing ruckus about it because she was ashamed to have her top off. But child, these messy folks out here say that Stevie ain't had to worry about it because baby, they said not nobody saw that doggone album cover. Child, wasn't nobody checking for Buckingham Nicks. Ain't nobody bought that doggone album. So Stevie, you could have just kept your shirt on or off. It didn't matter, sis. And on top of the album not selling, there was more bad news for Buckingham Nicks because Polydor Records ended up dropping them soon after. Even with them being dropped though, they did have spirits of warriors, and they continued to push, they continued to gig, they continued to write, they continued to try for their success. And rumor has it that Stevie was showing up doing the most because, honey, they said on top of that first waitressing job, she got another waitressing job. And then after that, she was also cleaning houses. So she was really trying to do anything she could to keep them afloat until they could get to where they needed to be. Luckily, though, Lindsay was able to start pulling a little bit of his own weight because he ended up getting a guitarist gig with the Everly Brothers. And gossip says it was while they had this time apart that Stevie Nicks actually wrote the song Rhiannon. And let me sprinkle this little bit of tea over here. Now, Stevie Nicks is a gifted songwriter regardless, okay? But child, let me go ahead and tell y'all, the messy streets say that Stevie had a little push behind her when it came to Rhiannon, and the reason she was able to write that so well is because, baby, she had started using cocaine. Now, this was supposedly her first usage of the drug, and per Stevie, you know, it was introduced to her as like a pick-me-up. It was a party drug, a maintenance drug, like I said, a quick pick-me-up. But the problem is that for Stevie, not only was it a pick-me-up, it was a keep-me-up. And baby, believe me, she stayed up. But we will get into that a little bit later. For now though, both Lindsay and Stevie were still finding their way, and then out of nowhere, a producer named Keith Olsen, which it wasn't really out of nowhere, they already had dealings with this guy. Some people even say that they were living with this guy for a time. But as I was saying, Keith Olsen ended up playing a Buckingham Nicks record for Mick Fleetwood. Now, Mick Fleetwood was the drummer and a founding member of a band named Fleetwood Mac. And this band, Fleetwood Mac, had been through it, baby. They had lost one member because that member actually slept with Mick Fleetwood's wife. They lost another member to a cult, and then they lost their founding member, their main lead singer, this guy named Peter Green. It was just like one day he was there and then he wasn't. Like seriously, one day he was there, he was playing the biggest shows, his name was getting so big, so many accolades, so many achievements, and then he just stopped showing up. And then next thing I know, he was on the streets on drugs, child. Just like happened kind of crazy like. But anyways, the point that I'm trying to make is that Fleetwood Mac was a good band, but they had band troubles really badly. They just could not keep members. And at this point in time, let me tell you the actual members that they had. There was Mick Fleetwood, the drummer, guitarist John McVie, and piano player or keyboard player Christine McVie. And John McVie and Christine McVie were actually married. And they had just lost a guitarist, I do believe, which is why now they were looking to replace that guitarist. That's why he was even listening to the Buckingham Nicks record. And when he heard that record, Lindsey Buckingham was killing it so good on that doggone guitar that Mick Fleetwood was like, hey, I want him in the band now. And so Keith or Mick Fleetwood himself, depending on who's telling the story, called Lindsey Buckingham and was like, hey, Fleetwood Mac, you know, the big popular band, they want you to join their band. They want you to become their lead guitarist. And when Lindsey heard this offer, and he was like, hey, yeah, I'll join you, but my girlfriend Stevie has to be in the band with me. You know, you either take me and her or you don't get me at all. And Mick Fleetwood was like, sir, we didn't say nothing about your girlfriend. We said you. But he wanted Lindsey Buckingham bad, but it was not his decision to make. He took the decision to Christine McVie. Since she was the only female in the band, he just didn't want to just bring in another female and make her uncomfortable because, baby, y'all know females can get catty, honey. And he didn't want none of that. And Christine ended up vibing with Stevie Nicks. You know, she was like, you know, I can get on with this girl. It's pretty cool. She can join the band. So that is when Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks became a part officially of Fleetwood Mac. And this is said to have happened in 1975. As soon as they joined the band, Mick Fleetwood is like jumping out of his boots. He cannot wait to get his new lineup into the studio. And their first album they record is called Fleetwood Mac. And on this album, they have some mega hits such as Rhiannon, Monday Morning, and Over My Head. And the album does wonderfully. It really lets them know that they finally have the correct people in the band. This is it. But it was while they were still riding high from the success of the Fleetwood Mac album that they would write something so incredible, so magnificent, so impeccable, y'all, that other artists could only dream of making an album so all around complete, baby. I'm trying to tell you, honey. And this album was called Rumors. Quite possibly, if not the biggest album of the decade. And I told you the Fleetwood Mac album had some mega hits, but baby, Rumors had some monster hits, honey. I'm talking about straight beast mode. And I ain't even got to name many, honey. I can just say two. Go Your Own Way and Dreams. You get the hint, baby. I ain't got to say no more. And these smash hits established Fleetwood Mac as all-stars, as superstars. And it also established Little Miss Stevie Nicks as their leading lady. Couldn't be touched by nobody. If you tried, your hand might set on fire, baby. That's just how hot she was walking. And she knew it, child. Baby, all you saw was with her tambourine, honey, just going everywhere with it. And now, since we are at the point where Stevie Nicks has made her success, baby, y'all know what time it is, baby. It's time to get to the messy, scandalous all over the world hot piping tea. And let me stop y'all now. If y'all are ride or die Stevie Nicks fans and you can't hear nothing negative about her, baby, go ahead and either shut your ears, close your eyes, or exit the doggone video, because this is some tea, honey. Let's get to it. Now, this first bit of tea is regarding Stevie Nicks when she was little, and I'm talking about like 4 or 5 years old type little. And I told y'all that her father helped her cultivate her musical side as she got older. But listen now, it was her granddaddy that truly started her on the path. And that's because her grandfather was a failed country singer who had big ambitions of making his career into a real thing. And one day that granddaddy was just visiting Stevie's parents' home, and he was just sitting on the porch and he was singing some country song. And Stevie heard this in the house and got so excited and brought her little bebop head on outside and started singing along with him. And to everybody else, it was just cute, like, you know, oh, listen to her, she's doing so good. But see, to that granddaddy who already had an ear for music, he heard something different. This little baby could harmonize. It basically came quite natural to the child. And when her granddaddy hears this, he's like, wee doggy, we got us a real singer on our hands. And immediately starts taking Stevie on little gigs with him. You know what I mean? They're going down to the clubs and the little juke joints. I don't know if they had juke joints, but just going down to the little parties and clubs, and they're playing and singing together. And this was all well and fine, but the parents just thought this was like a passing fancy. You know what I'm saying? They didn't really think it was that serious. Well, soon the granddaddy was like, no, we need to take this baby and she needs to help me get my career off the ground. Like, we can really make something of each other. We can really do this. He wanted to start recording, like start gigging all over the country. And this is when Stevie's parents were like, no. And the granddaddy was like, what you mean no? Why are you trying to stop my bag? Why are you trying to stop my money? And the parents were like, we're not trying to stop your money. Like, our daughter is only 4 or 5. She's too young. We're not gonna allow you to go gigging all over the country with our child. And baby, they say that granddaddy went off, baby. He went off on everybody. But still, no matter how many temper tantrums he threw, Stevie's parents said no. So child, guess what granddaddy little petty messy self did? Granddaddy said, okay, that's fine. And so they thought everything was cool, baby. Them folks didn't hear from granddaddy for 2 years, honey. And not only did granddaddy cut them off, child, Stevie was sitting up there trying to call and ask for him. Baby, he cut her little curly head off too. Then you got this strange little tea about Stevie performing in a high school talent show. She was supposed to perform alone, I believe, but she ended up performing with her father. And then they get on stage, and instead of singing, Stevie starts laughing. Like, I mean, she is just laughing, cutting up, hee ha ha, and then her daddy started laughing with her, and then while they're laughing, Stevie pees on her. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm sorry. But the folks say that Stevie just stood there laughing and peed on herself, girl. And then the funny thing about it is that why in these latest videos is everybody peeing on their doggone self? This next rumor talks about the time that Keith Olsen loaned his car to Stevie and Lindsay. Now, this is before Stevie and Lindsay made it big with Fleetwood Mac. They were just struggling and together, and their car had burnt out. So like I said, Keith Olsen loaned him his brand new Corvette, had just got it. And he was going to be out of town for a few days, so he told them that they could drive it. All he wanted them to do was take him to and from the airport. Child, that man went to that airport. They said as soon as that man got to his destination and to his hotel room, he got a phone call, child. His Corvette is in some woman's living room. Somebody he don't even know. And what has happened is Stevie was the one to take him to the airport, and she didn't really know how to drive a stick shift. But she did make it back home. The problem is that she got out of the car, went and got in the bed to go back to sleep, but she parked on a hill. She did not put any type of emergency brake on or anything like that. So while Stevie is in the bed snoring, the car has rolled down the hill and went into some woman's living room, child, just crashed into the whole house. Now listen at this story.